do all three things together. So I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda. Any additions, deletions, changes? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. 4-0. Thank you. We'll move on to attorney.
Mayor, could you please speak up a little bit because there's still a lot of noise coming in from outside?
Please close the door.
Okay.
We'll move on to the Brevard County Sheriff's report.
I got a bit down here.
All right. He's got a report.
I do this time, actually. I'm excited about it. Well, we finally were able to get the vendor to fix a lot of the issues we were having with the statistical data. And just to broach one topic, Corey and Benjamin, we have been enforcing quite a bit over there. That was one of your issues in the past. That has absolutely been, I don't know if y'all been through there, but there's been deputies through there numerous times. Which will be evident by the statistical data we do have now. Would you like July and August, or would you just like August for now? Okay. For July, we had 5 alarms to businesses, 5 alarms to residences. We have the standard 911 hang-ups, which would be about 15 total. We had 6 battery calls. We had 1 burglary. 12 disturbances, 2 frauds, 1 intoxicated driver, 1 drug arrest, 29 reckless driving complaints were called in. We had 31 traffic enforcement with 69 traffic stops and 3 warrant arrests, and that would be for July. For August, the 911 hang-ups went up a little bit more. We had 7 alarms to businesses, we had 2 to residences. 1 arrest warrant, we had 9 batteries, 1 burglary, vehicle burglary, 10 disturbances, 2 frauds, 3 drug arrests, 17 reckless driving complaints called in, 3 thefts, 33 traffic enforcements were stamped with another 69 traffic stops. In addition, one of the things that we're seeing that's actually kind of moving around the county quite a bit is people are not locking their vehicles. That is the biggest problem right now, and believe it or not, most of our stolen vehicles we're getting in the unincorporated areas because people are actually leaving their cars in their vehicles. And they're forgetting it when they leave their vehicle unlocked. Well, yeah.
Keys.
Yes, sorry. Yes, they're leaving their keys in their vehicles, and they're also leaving their garage door openers in their vehicles, which then gains access to the residents. And so while people are sleeping, other people are going in. And that's pretty much county-wide right now. That's not just this specific area, which we haven't been riddled with, but just kind of an awareness that they can pass along. The other thing that I'm sure you guys have gotten several calls and complaints on will be the individuals that are picking the berries. Have y'all gotten any of those complaints? We have been actively enforcing those also, especially since the state statute came into effect, which they have to have either written permission, they have to have the permit, and they also have to have written permission for any land that they're on. So we have been actively enforcing that. This shift actually, that's working right now, I had one not too long ago where a guy was backed in the right way and trying to hide and pick a whole bunch of berries, and then it just turned into a whole big mess after that because the guy shouldn't even operate in the vehicle. So, it's been doing pretty good. Yes, sir.
My compliments to you on a couple of things. I think I'm the only one here, I'm looking around, that lives on Weber Road. That's dead in the middle of it. The traffic is slower than it has been. It's not 35 miles an hour, but it's less than 60. Seems to be. I'm no real expert on it, but I know I go down the road at 40, and I don't have very many people passing me. Your presence, I shouldn't make this public, but is well known at Apps.
Yes, sir.
And Weber Road. And things have been a lot better on Weber, and I do appreciate the increased effort there. And as you said, Corey, I've heard from some of the folks there that it's not the problem that was once perceived.
Thank you.
Oh, one other thing.
Yes, sir.
I've had 2 cases in the last month where people have told me these are people with small front yards, that they left their car out and unlocked. Is it tempting to knock on the door to tell them to lock their car?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. We try, especially with open garage doors, especially when we call it a sound we try, especially if we come across those type of things.
That's a good thing. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, Denise, chambers here, can we put them out? Three people who are standing up somewhere.
Never told.
They can come sit with me at the table.
Okay, thank you. All right, we'll move on to board reports, Trail and Greenway.
Good evening, Mayor Riley, members of council. Drew Thompson with the Trails and Greenways report. I'll give you an update of a couple things that have occurred recently. I went with the town administrator, Murray Hahn, and we met actually with the Space Coast TPO up in Viera. And that was something I think we mentioned to you, that we'd be doing that to kind of see what they thought of the 7 projects that we had turned in April 15th. You saw those 7 projects, we discussed them on the wall at that time. They're basically on the map behind me. You can see that a little bit. It doesn't look too shrink that down.
Yeah.
Okay. But basically, what we're talking about, we renumbered, I think, the items as you saw them here. The numbering kind of changed around. So what I'd like to do is basically address what the TPO is considering to move forward on, at least initially. So they did like our package. The money's not there all at once, but what we're hoping was to get on the list. We're on the list, at least for future consideration. What we're talking about is basically really DOT funding, and it goes through the Space Coast TPO, which is Transportation Planning Organization. So a couple of things that I wanted to show you, and I'll be real brief here, is the main one is number 1. You'll see that's in blue. And the other 2, 6 and 7, you can see 6 is up here, and 7 is over here. And I want to talk, number 1 is basically from Marie Street almost due south to Grant Valcaria is what we're talking. And that's basically following the Marie Street right of way. But if we could get that, then we could have basically an Al Tuttle type trail. These are all Al Tuttle type connector trails. So that's the main one. We'll be working with both the town of Grant Valcaria as well as the city of Palm Bay to negotiate basically sponsorship and responsibilities providing this goes forward. So our next stage is to kind of invite them to a workshop. The next one, number 6, we're seeing it's labeled as Tillman Canal. And basically what we're talking about there, for those of you who can't see it, we're crossing Babcock to basically go to what will be a future bike park in Palm Bay. It's already dedicated as such along Tillman Canal. Some of you are familiar with the mountain bike efforts there called the Grapefruit Trail. And basically there's going to be a Palm Bay park for kind of training people on how to get used to riding the mountain bike. And that's going to essentially, if this comes to pass, we're basically connecting that bike park of the future to essentially what was talking here, the end of Tillman Canal, near the spillway. So one of the future things not immediately planned, but is basically to hopefully have a bridge across the Tillman and connect to the Melbourne Harris area, basically to allow people in the south side of the Tillman to kind of ride a bike or take a hike, but across the Tillman there. So that's something in the future. So again, the first 3 projects they're considering, number 1 is the Grant Valcaria connector. That's obviously a super long path, and we may hope to get off the right of way a little bit if we can, because there's a little bit of water, but it may have a bit of a boardwalk over the water. We're not quite sure. This number 6 item, which I mentioned, the Tillman Canal, is basically going to really allow kind of connectivity with the Babcock project, which is going to be super important as the kind of changes and comes to fruition. So really be under that bridge and such. So major thing, connecting people to the outdoors here. The third one, I said I'd be brief, is what's called the Jordan Scrub East-West. And that may be familiar, a lot of folks are familiar with it, but the town of Malabar has a 100-foot right-of-way known as Jordan Boulevard, which basically goes from the dirt road part of Marie Street all the way to essentially US 1, where it's paved by Harris over there. and that is a railroad track area, that type thing. But this might be of interest to folks in Rocky Point. Basically, the idea being they may have access to what's really a major lake down here. There's 2 lakes, one freshwater fishing. It's part of the Eels property. It's designated for recreation. So what really we think we've gotten is TPO's attention to showing our 7 project ideas. They chose 3 they'd like to move forward with to take it to the next step. And like I said, we'll be talking to both City of Palm Bay and Town of Grant Valcaria and kind of negotiating further things. The only other thing I was going to talk about, that finishes that unless you have questions. Sure.
On your map, it would be nice if you put, I know this is paved connector trails proposed, but if you put what is existing between North Marie Street by the park there, yeah. If you put in a black line or some other line that went from the north end of Marie Street, there's a paved
To add that to that. And I can do that on our website.
because that would show that this is existing.
Yeah, like a black line.
Yeah.
I actually borrowed this from TPO. They had a better map than I did, so I scanned it.
Okay.
So I can't claim ownership of this one.
I brought a magic Sharpie.
Yeah, Sharpie, yeah, I have a Sharpie, yeah, thank you.
Maybe we can press on truck.
I don't know, it would just show that we have some already.
It's a good point, and what I'll do, based on your recommendation, I will take this graphic, add that to designate and put it on the malabartrails.org website, which everybody can get to. You can see what we already have out there. So
Next year.
this is coming up. We're also talking some trail signage that's about to be ordered. But for the sake of time, I will thank you.
Thank you. All right, move on to the Park and Rec Board. Any representative? We'll move on to planning and zoning. Wayne?
Mayor and council members, Wayne Hebert, Planning and Zoning Chair. We just had one meeting last month. It wasn't very busy. Council member Thorne called me and asked about temporary signs in the right of way. We call these snipe signs. And we had, last year or so, we've been through rewriting the ordinance on signs. So we discussed that, looked at it again. It was quite an effort. And, they're not allowed in the right of way. You suggested. We do it, when you're doing, when elections are up, we allow it during, for a couple months. But somebody puts one there and it's not an election, it's up to the town to have it removed. That was it.
Any questions? Thank you. Move on to staff reports. Administrators excused, and public work director gave us a written statement, and the fire chief said next meeting, and we got the clerk.
I have nothing.
All right, we'll move on to public comments. If anybody wants to speak, I know you're supposed to fill out a card, but if anyone feels strongly about the zoning change or anything, you can come up now. Go ahead.
Mayor, it's not about
Oh,
zoning.
please state your name and address for the record.
Tim Ralston, Mar Road, Malabar. Not about zoning change or anything, I just want to bring it to everybody's attention, seeing
You
that
need to address the council.
the council, okay, I bring it to the council's attention
Thank you.
that I work for Aspen Tree Company, who supports the electric company, and we've been working 16 on and 8 hours off for the last 2 weeks. I did 90 hours this week, keeping everybody with power. Matter of fact, we were out Saturday restoring power for breaches that came down that were damaged during the storm. So I just want to let you know that, we are out there, we are keeping, and I did about 12 hours in the COP vehicle last month. Citizens report.
Any other public comments? Okay, thank you. We'll move on to our public hearing. Ordinance 2019-08 was tabled to September 23rd. So we'll move on to ordinance 2019-11, setting millage for fiscal year 1920. First reading. Please read by title only.
An ordinance of the Town of Malabar, Brevard County, Florida, adopting a millage rate of 2.2680 for the levy of ad valorem tax within the town for the period from October 1, 2019 through September 30th, 2020, providing for an effective date.
Thank you. Do you have a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion.
Sorry, not yet. This is a public hearing. Anyone from the public wish to speak? Staff have any comments? Public hearing closed. I'll entertain a motion for approval.
I'll make the motion. Second.
Any discussion? Go ahead.
Knowing what's happened in previous years when the ad valorem rate has changed, and knowing that there's going to be a question about it on the ballot in November, we need to be very thorough in our explaining this to our constituents, so that everybody knows we're not going to raise their whole tax bill. It's less than 10% of my tax bill. We got the trip notice the other day. That which comes to Malabar in the taxes that you pay in the fall is a very small amount. And Malabar could well use more than what we actually been getting, so that we can provide for the needs of the people and can positively answer the requests that we get for road work, infrastructure work, police protection, and other things. The town is a bargain to the people, but we need to make sure that people don't think that we're raising their whole bill, just that one little markup. If they look at the trip notice, what comes to Malabar is a very small amount. And we need to be sure that people understand that.
Dan?
Yeah, I'd like to say, I brought mine, okay, and my taxes to the town of Malabar went up $32 because of this. My total tax, though, because other items with the county went down slightly, only went up $10. So I don't think that we did anything crazy here, you know. And, I think if most people look at their tax bill, they'll see it's very mild.
Any other discussion? All right, we'll do a roll call vote.
Councilmember Ball.
Aye.
Councilmember Vale.
Aye.
Councilmember Ribbit is excused.
Excuse.
Councilmember Horn.
Aye.
Councilmember White.
Aye.
Motion carries 4-0.
Thank you. All right, we'll move on to ordinance 2019-12, adopting budget for fiscal year 1920, first reading. I'll have Debbie go first.
An ordinance of the Town of Malabar, Brevard County, Florida, adopting the budget of $2,204,996 for the fiscal period from October 1, 2019 through September 30th, 2020, and providing for an effective date. Section 1 of that ordinance states that the Town Council in regular session duly assembled adopt the final budget of $2,204,996 for the proposed expenditures commencing on October 1, 2019 through and including September 30th, 2020, reflecting the general operating millage of 2.2680 mils. This total budget number includes $294,000 in approved expenditures for stormwater projects funded through non-ad valorem fees and FDEP financing.
I'll open up the public hearing. Anyone from the public wish to speak to this matter? All right, staff, do you have anything else to add? Okay. Close the public hearing. I'll entertain a motion for approval of ordinance 2019-12.
All second.
Discussion.
The one thing I would like to discuss is to compliment the staff, both the town administrator and the town clerk and their associates, in the amount of work that was done to put together a very, very good and well-explained budget.
Okay, any other discussion?
I'd like to say that everybody knows I wasn't in favor of increasing the staff cost of our fire department, but I think that the staff and Chief Holden did a great job of mitigating that increase in cost. We pulled it back quite a bit. So, I think they did really well.
I'll reiterate those comments as well. I think staff and council as well. It went very smooth. It was minor modifications, minor adjustments. It was probably the smoothest out of all the budgets I've been through, probably the smoothest in the last 15 years. It went very well. Thank you.
I think that one of the things that I've been pushing for is for us to plan ahead for the maintenance of roads and replacement of equipment as it fails with our new fire truck and our new trucks. We've started that process and we're moving forward to put some money back into our long-term savings account, so we'll have that money should we have an emergency or in times due when we do need roads. If we start putting money away early now, we'll be able to not have a crisis when that comes up. And I'm very happy that we did that. And I think we have done a very good budget as far as staying to keep trimming as much of the cost as we could do. Thank you.
Any other discussion? All right, we'll do a roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Ball,
Aye.
Councilmember Vale,
Aye.
Councilmember Rivet is excused, Councilmember Corn,
Aye.
Councilmember White,
Aye.
motion carried 4-0.
Thank you. All right, we'll move on to resolutions. The appointment to the Board of Adjustment, Resolution 14-2019. Please read by title only.
A resolution of the Town of Malabar, Brevard County, Florida, providing for the appointment of Katie Abrams to the Malabar Board of Adjustment as an alternate member, providing for repeal of resolutions or parts of resolutions in conflict herewith, providing for an effective date.
Entertain a motion for approval.
I'll make that. I'll second.
Okay, any discussion? We'll do a roll call vote.
Councilmember Ball,
Aye.
Councilmember Vale,
Aye.
Councilmember Rivet is excused, Councilmember Corn,
Aye.
Councilmember White.
Aye.
Motion carried 4-0.
All right, move on to the Grace Lane Resolution 15-2019.
Resolution of the Town of Malabar providing for the naming of a newly dedicated public road right-of-way as Grace Lane for a distance of approximately 1,200 feet plus or minus north of Benjamin Road in Section 12, Township 29, Range 37, providing for the forwarding of this information to Brevard County address assignment for E911 emergency identification purposes, providing for conflict, providing for an effective date.
We have a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All right, we'll do a roll call vote.
Councilmember Ball,
Aye.
Councilmember Vale,
Aye.
Councilmember Rivet is excused, Councilmember Corn, Councilmember White.
Aye.
Motion carried 4-0.
Thank you. All right, move on to miscellaneous with Morris Smith and Rocky Point Lane emergency funding.
I have these to hand out, okay? This is
Is it a
a,
resolution or is
no,
Okay.
no, we've done our,
It's an action.
done our. This is under miscellaneous for action.
Okay.
We, the town administrator sent out requests for bids from 4 vendors and, got two estimates back and 2, they declined to submit for whatever reason. They didn't state the reason. Because of Matt's illness and his inability to present this himself, he certainly do a much better job than I'm fumbling through this, but his recommendation is to go with the estimate submitted by Lund Development. As far as the particulars of the details, Morris could speak to that, but the money is in the current budget in the roads department, and this would be improving or bringing back to minimum safety standards the road based on Rocky Point at the north end.
Okay, Okay, Marsh, you want to speak to this?
I sure can. If there are questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Yeah, I have a question.
Okay?
Regarding previous history of either of these contractors doing work within the town,
Correct.
do we have a track record with either one of them?
We have a track record with Lund and
Okay.
Arrington as well.
Barrington as well. Okay, so, because if it's not a big spread between the two quotes.
It's about a 15% average, which is good.
And if the one was an unknown contractor to us. but it-
Totally agree.
So I would support the one.
Any other discussion? Okay. I'll entertain a motion to accept Lund Development.
I'll second it.
Any further discussion? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried 4-0.
Thank you.
Okay, the council may excuse the attorney at this time. And Morris.
Yeah, that's fine.
Thank you, guys. Thanks for coming. Be prepared for 2030.
Get here early for parking space.
We have no cards, so I'll move on to
You have to get
reports.
her early to be in the count, there's only 49 people that are allowed.
They let me sit up there.
And
Yeah, right? My neighbor across the street, on the south side of Axe, Chuck, he just told me that I've never seen this water move so well, you know, I mean, it's really flowing on that big ditch that we did on Axe. They're cleaning up this year, it's made a big difference in it. So, anyway, that's it.
The other item that I wanted to add to the agenda, I'll go ahead and get it now because it's no biggie. This is to request an agenda item for our council meeting of this today. He changed the title of town administrator to town manager. I asked this after reading ordinance number 03-15. It is clear to me this individual is responsible to the council for the management of the town business and proceedings. The occupant of this office has decision-making and discretionary authority well beyond just administering the stated will of the council, while remaining subject to the review of the council. And if you were to read the article where that was appointed, this is ordinance, whatever number it was there.
03-15.
He has an awful lot of management responsibilities. I researched this at the League of Cities Convention, and out of the 412 municipalities in Florida, 11 of them have town administrators. The rest who have anything have town managers. And Matt considers himself a manager, and we have put upon his back management responsibilities. So I'd like to see this considered at the next council meeting, as the staff will have the opportunity to create the necessary ordinance that we can pass or not pass. Does anyone not understand what I'm saying?
Debbie, so presently our charters.
Not in our
It's
charter.
not in the charter, and later on I will suggest that it be added to the charter, but let's get it straight, get the title straight first.
But okay, code of ordinances anywhere in the book?
Yes.
Does it say administrator?
Chapter 2,
That's what I'm talking.
administration.
So presently it says.
And that's what he's referring to,
Right.
the document. I can draft up an ordinance that will amend that. Also, just as information, we did put this before the voters once before, and it was, I think, 2003, and it didn't pass, but it was a very close margin. So as long as you're preparing referendum questions, you may want to, as Florida League of Cities had spoke to Dick, they said that your charter officers really should be referenced in your charter.
That's the other thing I was going to mention, that sometime in the future, whether it's during this fiscal year or even beyond that, we need to establish a charter review committee and polish our charter. I'll be working with the staff of the Florida League of Cities within the next week or two, probably, to get some ideas on that. I'm no expert on charter review, but I want to be somewhat of one and make sure that things are as they ought to be, because this office ought to be in our charter, you're right. It's not now, but it can be. The position of mayor is in the charter, but there are some differences too, than other municipal charters have as far as that goes. So, the charter establishes that this is a very strong council type of government. And yeah, the council does prevail, but the mayor can have specific rights, the town administrator manager can have specific rights, and it needs to all be in the charter, very specific.
Okay, is it the pleasure of the council to put this on the future, as a future agenda item?
Sure. I'd like to discuss it.
Is the next meeting, let's make it not the next meeting.
Okay.
Next meeting's gonna be busy.
Yeah. Meeting after that, okay.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
And on the humor side, if we change it to manager, we'll spell it right.
Yeah.
Yeah. 'cause
Why, that's not wrong here?
No, I was told the administrator was spelled wrong on the door for a while.
Quite a few years.
I've never even noticed it. I can't spell this.
All right. Anything else? Okay, I don't have anything, so without objection, meeting adjourned.
That meeting, that first meeting in October.
Okay.
James,